Okay, so let's talk about your muscles. This is really important for you to understand because if you're going to stretch them and work on them correctly, it gives you a whole lot more power if you understand exactly how those muscles work. Now, here's the interesting thing is that there's connective tissue that ends up as your tendon on either end of your muscle. And then there are these red myofibrils, the muscle cells themselves. And the thing is that those muscle cells all connect to, if you will, a connective tissue. You might call it a fascia or a fascia type, since a lot of people know what that term means. But it really is, each muscle cell is also contained in a little container called the endomesium, and that's connective tissue surround around that myofibril. And then groups of muscles in an area, which we call a fascicle, so that you have individual fascicles will fire at different times within a muscle. So you have a large muscle that's covered by epimesium, this fascial covering, that comes in and helps form your tendon. Then your groups of muscles, called your fascicles, and fascicles will fire. Not every fascicle in the muscle fires at once. They do so at separate times so that you can maintain strength over time. So you have different fascicles, and certain fascicles are more you're able to fire when you have certain chemicals in your body, like do you have enough thyroid hormone? Do you have more estrogen, less estrogen, more testosterone, less testosterone? So do you have more adrenaline, less adrenaline? So those fascicles are also responsive to the chemical milieu that they're in. Then you have your individual fibers of muscle that are covered by endomesium. So these mesiums all come together and provide a framework for your muscle to attach to. But the muscle doesn't necessarily run, the muscle fiber itself doesn't run the entire length of your muscle. Sometimes we have what we call pennate, where the muscle fiber is this way, but the direction of the muscle will connect here to here, but the muscle fibers themselves will go in this. Or we have bipennate, when they make a little flag-like structure. So muscles have different orientations. The muscle fibers will be in different orientations, so they're pulling in one direction, but their direction of pull on your skeletal system will follow what the mesiums follow, which direction the mesiums flow in. So they won't always be in the same direction. So it gives your muscles and your fascicles. And some muscles, for example, pyramidal-shaped muscles, they have fascicles that are in different orientations, so that when the different fascicles fire, they can actually change the direction of pull of that single muscle. So that muscle, depending on where your hip is or where your knee is or where your shoulder is, will change its function as an internal rotator, external rotator, flexor, extensor, abductor. That answer will change depending on where the joint is and which fascicle is firing. Which part? The infraspinatus, one of your rotator cuff muscles, subscapularis, another one of your rotator cuff muscles, are huge for that. The glutes are really important for that. They really have different pulls depending on which fascicle fires. So that's all very important. Now, here's the thing: is that those mesiums, that is oftentimes, that connective tissue is where you will get areas of resistance in the muscle. And that is what, when you have an injury or you've pulled something, you've damaged something, or even just having worked out, you've been working out an area and you keep doing the same workout, or you had an excessively heavy workout and it injured an area, that area heals, but that healing process will not be, the fibers won't necessarily be directed. You'll have a misdirection and you get kind of an area of resistance to easy force flow through the area. And that's what we're trying to change. So when we use a foam roller or a ball or massage therapist's thumb or your therapist's hand, what we're trying to change are those areas of resistance within the muscle. But it's really within those mesiums that we're trying to redirect the flow, so that and the growth, so that a disorganized tissue becomes a more organized tissue, and then your force production and force propagation is more appropriate to what the muscle was designed to do in the first place. If we have areas that don't function like that, then you get inappropriate functions. You get rotated segments in your spine, or you get scoliosis, if you will, or a hip that's externally rotated, or a knee that's turned the wrong way. So you don't get your full range of motion. So anytime we're looking for range of motion, we also want to look at what muscles would get in the way of doing that. So again, we go back to those mesiums, endomesium, epimesium, paramesium, and we have to make sure that those are organized, and we have to make sure that they have enough force. They're able to contain enough force. So now it also takes time for that organization to occur, and so it could take at least 2 minutes for you to see an architectural change. Now here's the interesting thing, is that those mesiums, while they're flowing in one direction, because it's somewhat of a honeycomb, if you will. Of course, it's not hexagonally shaped. They are, mostly round tissues, the mesiums, especially like an endomesium around a muscle fiber. But then those mesiums are all connected to each other, and they connect up at various places within the muscle. The endomesium to the paramesium, and the paramesium to the endomesium. So we have that structure. So we have to put force into that, and we want it directed. So the direction of our stretches, and we want to hold those stretches for 2 minutes. And the stretch doesn't necessarily have to be longitudinal. So a stretch is typically longitudinal, but like a foam roller goes against muscle fiber direction. So some people would call it cross-friction massage. And we don't want to do temporary, like cross-friction massage that is high velocity. Your stretch has to last for 2 minutes to change that architecture of those mesiums. And so therefore, if you do it, you want to do it very slow. So when we say, let's roll on a ball or roll on a foam roller, it's not really rolling. It's roll, find that area of resistance, and then sit on it until it kind of, the edema comes out of it and it starts to reorganize it. The edema allows it to start to reorganize like it's supposed to. So any stretch you're going to do, you do want to hold for 2 minutes, and then you can do isometric contractions while you're doing that to help it out. But we're trying to organize the mesiums.